So we're on to the last part of the session today. Before I give you a little bit of an overview of the Better Work Tas program, I'd like you to be aware that the program for WorkSafe month will be in the newspapers as of not this weekend but next weekend, so that's something to look out for. So there you'll see the full program for the whole month of October, with a lot of activities, webinars, online presentations and face-to-face across the states. So by all means look out for that. But just to finish off, because we are aiming to actually finish the presentations by around 12 o'clock, I thought I'd just finish off with a bit of an overview of what the Better Work Tas program is and what it's been doing over the last 6 years or so. I think we had a transport sector session, what was it, a couple of years ago? Did many of you attend that one? I think it was only 2 years ago we had a transport sector session. But we do run a lot of the networking sessions according to targeted industries that we have in our strategy, as Brad indicated. We also have sessions that focus on particular issues. So last year we had 3 networking sessions on silica and related issues throughout the state. And at other times we have had mental health type sessions as well, and also sessions focusing on dangerous goods and other areas. So there's a lot of good health and safety information that we gain, and I'm sure you agree that we've gained a lot of information here today. And we live stream these events and we record them, so they will be available on the Better Work Tas area of the WorkSafe Tasmania website over the next week or so. So if you would like to go back and look at any of the presentations today again, then you can do so using that avenue. The other thing that we've been spending a little bit of time on is some work health and safety learning modules, which I'll cover in the presentation, and they're also now available. We've put together some learning modules for all industries. There's one module for all industries and also one for retail and one for hospitality at this stage. So by all means look out for those. So the background to the program, it did start as a response to a review that was performed way back in 2007. And on that review, there was a response by the chair of the WorkCover Tasmania board at the time to look at how we might reinvigorate the space of work health and safety. So with that in mind, we went out and did a lot of community consultation for a couple of years, just asking people what they thought might achieve that end. And the key information we got was about networking, mentoring, training and collaboration. So there was a real sense that people thought that larger businesses could assist smaller businesses more. Another key message was we don't want the sort of generic information that we've been getting from WorkSafe Tasmania for many years. We want sector-specific information like we are here today. So this is again a response to that feedback that we got way back when. And at the time I also did a sort of global search on the sort of programs that were available at the time to meet that sort of need in terms of work health and safety. There wasn't a lot there at the time. There was only one program operating in Germany called INQA, and it still operates today. It had quite a big budget, much more than what we could ever hope to afford. But I did look at that and saw that they incorporated 4 pillars of leadership, diversity, competence and health. And there was another area that was also a strong part of that program, and that was about dealing with the ageing population, which again we've heard reference to that today. It's a common issue across the world, and particularly for workplaces, and it's the recognition of what that means with people continuing to work longer. So in a nutshell, a lot of the emphasis that INQA program focused upon was about networking and collaboration. And so with that, I felt that was something that we really needed to make a key ingredient going forward with invigorating work health and safety in Tasmania. At the same time, around 2015, Queensland did develop a similar program, and what we're seeing now also, there's a Better Work New Zealand program available, and these programs very much focus on leadership and culture. So they're looking at the idea of networking collaboration, and they very much focus on leadership and culture as part of that in driving that through. As part of how we managed to formulate what we have as a program called Better Work Tasmania, we did trial the concept with a prototype group, and so Hobart City Council, and Vicky was part of that, Tas Gas, Skill Group, White and McAllister and Tas Water. We got together every 6 weeks or so for about a year, I think, trying to nut out, well, what would this look like? How would we make this program work? And very much from those meetings, we felt that general induction training was a must. The ageing population was another area that we shouldn't lose sight of and forget about, because it's going to remain with us. Networking and training, perhaps incorporate a membership approach just to get people's skin in the game and feel part of the effort towards invigorating the landscape of work health and safety. Leaders and champions, which again are very much a part of other programs, both in Queensland and New Zealand. And of course it would have to be online just to allow accessibility. So we launched the Better Work Tas program in 2015. Oh, and that was the launch there that we had in Blundstone in that time. So what's happened? Over that time, we've managed to have over 3,000 members now. I think it says 2,000 there, but there's some 3,000 people have subscribed to the program, and you can still do that, register online through the WorkSafe Tasmania website. This is the 31st networking session that we've held under the program. And the format that you see here today is typically how we run it. I approach a sector, ask them what sort of topic areas they'd like to cover, where they think their audience would like the session to be held. Would it be the south, the north, the northwest? And how we might attract the interest, what sort of speakers, and how we would go about providing the networking session. So that's really done in conjunction with the sector itself, which is quite different to anything else that we do at WorkSafe Tasmania. We record the sessions, and those sessions, as I've said, are available on the website. At the same time, over the whole 6 years, we've had an online induction training package platform on the Better Work Tas website, and now on the WorkSafe Tas website. And we've had a couple of thousand people complete the certificates with that online induction training, and we haven't promoted it heavily. Probably most of you may not know that it even exists, but that's how it's worked, and it's been pretty successful in people thinking that it was a worthwhile resource to have. So that's continued on, and these are some of the sector sessions that we've been running over time. So as well as transport, construction, health and community, public sector, forestry, fisheries, rural and mining, and some of the area-specific issues such as mental health, communication and collaboration, hazardous substances and dangerous goods. And these are some of the networking collaborators that we've worked with over time. There's even more than what I've managed to be able to put on the screen there. Oops. So I might run that video if that's possible. This just summarises some of the sessions that we've run over time.
What we want to focus on this morning in particular is about how we can actually change some of the cultures or look at addressing some of the cultures in the workplace so we can reduce the prevalence of mental illness.
Now, WorkCover provide a good resource. You've got advisors.
It's up to each and every one of us to actually go back into our workplaces and say we're not going to have disrespectful behaviours.
And we know now that the evidence points to the fact that it's people in Tasmania who are socially and economically disadvantaged.
There used to be Coke and Red Bulls on the table. This is 5 months ago. Now there's water that they bring in, not what we supply. So by having these small chats, insignificant chats, don't cost anything. But by you as a leader and by you valuing your employees, you can make huge changes in their life.
Do you want this young fellow to walk in your footsteps and for him to be all macho in front of the other blokes on site? Do you know, from that day on, the site managers came up to me and said, you know, he always wears his PPE now.
What I see is the commercial world working really hard in this sort of space, public service talking a lot about it but not necessarily doing a lot about it. And there seems to be this culture where unless you're working 400 hours a week, you're not actually doing your job, which is insane.
So between 2010 and 2015, the number of workplace injuries in Tasmania decreased by 27%. So that's obviously a very encouraging result.
Thanks very much, Pam, for the opportunity. Welcome to tropical Queenstown. Yeah, we're delighted to be involved as a co-host with Better Work Tasmania. I can certainly, as a member of Better Work Tasmania, vouch for the effectiveness and the quality of the programs, and I'm sure today will be no exceptions.
So welcome to the 30th Better Work Tasmania networking session. We've got, as Pamela said, 40 people here today in the room and 100 people online.
First off, I'd just like to acknowledge that we haven't done all this alone. We've had some fantastic input, particularly from Safe Farming Tasmania, which is a multi-department collaboration between primary industries and WorkSafe.
So that gives you a sense of the range of topic areas and issues that we've been covering over that time. But now I'll move on to giving you the information about the new online platform that we have for the work health and safety learning modules. The current one that is still available online because people are still using it, it tends to be a modular format and it has 4 modules: rights and responsibilities, workplace hazards, risk control and participating in work health and safety. It's fairly word dense. Some of the links aren't working anymore because they're a bit outdated and that's very much pushed us to review it and look at how we could improve the way it is and how we could promote giving information for work health and safety across the board. So that gives you an idea of how many people have actually been using that online platform, and the majority of people tend to tap into the rights and responsibility. You can see nearly 10,000 people have looked at that and used that part of the module. But unfortunately, like all things, it's become outdated. So there was an opportunity to consider another format, how we could improve it, how we could improve the communication style, considering literacy rates in Tasmania. and also covering some emergent issues such as infection control and violence and aggression in the workplace. So the new learning modules, we've replaced the modular format with a continuous presentation style. There are quizzes and questions throughout the modules, user-friendly and engaging. And as I said, additional topic areas of violence, aggression and infection control. And there's a general WHS module for all workers and additional sector ones for retail and hospitality. This gives you a sense of how it feels and looks, the new modules. Is that a video there, Lockie? If you can show that, yep. Not downloading very well. Yes, no. Okay, we might skip that one. It's not downloading, so. We have had some feedback already from people using the modules, and people have reported that they're very user-friendly, easy to access and navigate, provide good generic work health and safety information and direction, very useful tool for small business. Simple presentation and the content is more than adequate. Oh, and that's all about today's session. So thank you very much for attending today. If you haven't joined Better Work Tasmania, you can do so by just providing your email address details through the WorkSafe Tasmania website. I hope you've enjoyed today's session, networking session. There will be lunch provided outside very, very shortly in the next couple of minutes. So I wish you all the best. Are there any further questions at all? No? So thanks again for joining us, and make sure you grab a copy of the program for WorkSafe Month in next week, not this weekend, but next weekend's papers. Thank you very much.